Hi, you're watching our special broadcast on the US presidential elections, and it's called Trumpeting Trump. The Republican nominees' improving prospects in the race to the White House have startled many, with even President Obama chipping in and cautioning voters that running a country is different from being on a reality TV show. Trump is the last man standing after vanquishing all Republican competitors. Here's a look at his larger-than-life persona.
He is the last man standing, the unquestioned presumptive presidential nominee of the Republican Party. With Ted Cruz and John Kasich ending their presidential bid, the path is clear for Donald Trump to capture the Republican nomination for the November elections. Trump swept to a commanding victory in Indiana on Tuesday. The New York billionaire won decisively in a state where Cruz, his nearest rival, had hoped to show that he was still a factor in the race for the Republican nomination.
So win again. We have to know how to win, and we haven't won. We've been losing all the time. We lose with our military. We can't beat ISIS. We lose with trade. We lose with borders. We lose with everything. We're not going to lose. We're going to start winning again, and we're going to win bigly, believe me.
As the vote returns flowed in, Cruz announced that he has ended his campaign. But he had not so kind words for his fiercest competitor.
I'm going to do something I haven't done for the entire campaign. For those of y'all who have traveled with me all across the country, I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. Donald Trump is such a narcissist that Barack Obama looks at him and goes, "Dude, what's your problem?"
Hours later, Trump's only other competitor, John Kasich, also called it quits.
You see, I have always said that the Lord has a purpose for me as he has for everyone. And as I suspend my campaign today, I have renewed faith, deeper faith, that the Lord will show me the way forward and fulfill the purpose of my life.
It is now virtually certain that Donald Trump will go head-to-head in a general election matchup with the likely Democratic flag-bearer Hillary Clinton, who he has already started referring to as Crooked Hillary.
Rasmussen poll came out yesterday, and in that poll, I'm now leading Hillary Clinton. A lot of good things on it. We're now leading Hillary by 2 points.
But before that, Donald Trump will have to fight his own party and rivals who are calling Trump's controversial candidacy America's worst nightmare.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bureau Report, India Today.
It's time we do a little rewind and find out some more about Donald Trump from his old photo albums. Before he became a Republican presidential nominee and a butt of all jokes, Donald Trump was a well-known real estate mogul, a reality TV star, and a man with a big, beautiful family.
My name's Donald Trump, and I'm the largest real estate developer in New York. I own buildings all over the place, model agencies, the Miss Universe pageant, jetliners, golf courses, casinos, and private resorts like Mar-a-Lago, one of the most spectacular states anywhere in the world.
Before politics, it was all about money for Donald Trump.
I used my brain, I used my negotiating skills, and I worked it all out. Now my company's bigger than it ever was, it's stronger than it ever was, and I'm having more fun than I ever had.
Born on 14th of June, 1946 in Queens, New York, Trump became involved in large, profitable building projects in Manhattan by the time he was 35. In 1980, he opened the Grand Hyatt, which made him the city's best-known and most controversial developer.
It's not been easy for me. It has not been easy for me. And, you know, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan, and I had to pay him back, and I had to pay him back with interest. But I came into Manhattan, I started buying up properties, and I did great. And then I built the Grand Hyatt, and I got involved with the convention. So I did a good job.
So you want to be the next big thing. So you want to be the next big thing. You want to be a spotlight. Oh, you want to be. They'll put you on the front page. Want to see the bright lights. Oh, you want to see.
By 2004, Donald Trump was a reality TV star with the hit series The Apprentice.
This is going to be the dream job of a lifetime.
But his larger-than-life image was tarnished by the publicity surrounding his controversial personal life. Trump divorced his first wife, Ivana, in 1991. But in 1993, he married again, this time to Marla Maples, a fledgling actress with whom he had been involved for some time and already had a child. Trump filed for a highly publicized divorce from Maples in 1997, which became final in June 1999. A prenup agreement allotted $2 million to Maples. In January 2005, Trump married for a third time in a highly publicized wedding to model Melania Noss. In June 2015, Trump stunned America by throwing in his hat into the post-Obama presidential race.
I am going to be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. Remember that.
Through his presidential campaign, Trump's large family has stood firmly behind him, with his eldest daughter, Ivanka, pregnant with a third child, virtually running the campaign. From a controversial tycoon to a controversial presidential candidate,
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
the question is, could Donald Trump end up as America's most controversial president?
The race to the White House has seen a bitter war of words, with the divide between the Republicans and Democrats widening like never before. Trump's comments about religious and ethnic minorities and residents of neighboring Mexico, many believe, has polarized the campaign and lowered the level of political discourse in the U.S. Here's the report.
And I'm not upset with other leaders. I'm upset with our leaders for being so stupid. We have to win. We have to win the general election. It's called tough, smart, and they know how to win. And that's what our country needs. We have to win again. We have to know how to win.
Mr. Donald J. Trump.
From Obama's Yes We Can to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again, White House is witnessing the tumultuous change shaping up America's political discourse. And the presidential poll campaign of 2016 that has seen the rise of the multi-billionaire Donald Trump on its political arena is clearly the most divisive and polarizing election campaign that America has ever witnessed.
But even before the race reaches the final rounds, it has already gotten ugly, and how, in the intra-party debates, leaving the old and the young to say, mind your language.
The most discouraging thing is I would call the uncivilized tone, especially in one of the parties that I will not name. We are used to having a little more civil discourse in the political arena, but I think in India also you've been seeing this, and around the world. It's a little bit embarrassing, actually. It is not only Donald Trump.
The question is this part of the silly season? It's called the silly season. Candidates make all kinds of extravagant promises which they cannot live up to. Or is it something that's fundamentally changing in America?
I think that this is an incredibly vital election, at least for my generation. This is the most important that we've seen. And I think it's really important to consider the rhetoric that's been spewed out by a lot of the Republican candidates and how it's been severely polarizing the country. And it's very worrisome to see. I don't think it's representative of American values and the country that I would like to see moving forward.
He's 58 years old. Flamboyant. People love questioning if his white locks of hair are a wig. And he vehemently denies with his stinging tongue. He throws up ideas that revolve around hate and fear-mongering. Ideas that appeal to at least 9 million of his voters, but are vertically splitting his own party.
Donald J. Trump!
He's Donald Trump, the man who called Mexicans rapists and sought a ban on entry of Muslims to America. The man who seems to be the very antithesis of American inclusivity and pluralism.
Every day is a scary Trumpism day.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
But Mr. Trump, of course, has created a strong antipathy towards Latinos, even blacks, and definitely against Muslims. And now people in America don't always know a Muslim from a Hindu, for example. There have been instances when Sikhs have been attacked because people thought they were Muslims wearing turbans.
You ready for a commander-in-chief who will let our warriors do their job and go kick ISIS?
With his deep pockets, Trump today is symbolic of the somewhat old nativist tradition and racist undertones of American society. He currently has the support of around one-third of the Republican Party, with a support base mostly amongst old conservative whites. Many families are split politically to Trump or not to Trump.
My father is a Donald Trump supporter, and he actually espouses the anger that you see at some of these rallies where people will get very violent. They'll attack people who are protesting these rallies. And the discourse among those people is that for them, this country is going down the drain.
You actually end up having huge debates with your father, or are you avoiding him these days?
We don't have, we have healthy debates, let's just say that. They do sometimes get heated, but he does understand where I come from as a Democrat. I understand where he comes from as a Republican. I do call him out a lot of times if he makes a statement that may be racist or sexist, quite like Trump. I would call out Trump if he made the same statements if he was in the room with me.
Why disagree?
Over the decades, American demographics have undergone transformation. The US of A is not as white as it used to be. Immigrants of varying races, Asians, Latinos, Afro-Americans have taken up jobs and added to the competition even as the economy slowed down, especially in the wake of 2008 recession. Trump has positioned himself as a candidate of grievances in these stressful economic times. But he chooses controversial remarks as a tool and mob mentality to bring out people's frustration with the Obama legacy. Violence in his rallies against those who disagree with his views is an oft-seen phenomenon.
Blue-collar whites who feel that they do not have the kind of economic advantages that they may have had 20, 30 years ago, they're very resentful, and he's tapping into their anger. But his rhetoric has been very divisive.
Now, an increasing disillusionment over the years and disenchantment with Obama's policies has been seen as a key impetus for Trump's rise, particularly amongst the white conservatives. Obama, anyways, has been a figure much hated on the right.
At the White House Correspondents' dinner last week, Trump was the focus of most conversations, speeches and the butt of all jokes. So much so that even President Obama couldn't help himself. Obama, of course, has on several occasions cautioned voters against selecting a non-serious contender for the top job. Comedian Seth Meyers too targeted the Republican, with sharp barbs drawing cheers and laughter from the gathering. Here are the highlights.
Since we're talking about celebrities and reality stars, we might as well talk about the 2012 Republican candidates. Just look at the options the Republicans are kicking around: Palin, Huckabee, Gingrich, Trump. That doesn't sound like a field of candidate. That sounds like season 13 of Dancing with the Stars. And not the stars, the dancers.
Nah, I'm just kidding. You know I've got to talk about Trump. Come on. We weren't just going to stop there. Come on.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke. Donald Trump often appears on Fox, which is ironic because a fox often appears on Donald Trump's head.
Although I am a little hurt that he's not here tonight. We had so much fun the last time. And it is surprising. You got a room full of reporters, celebrities, cameras, and he says no. Is this dinner too tacky for the Donald? What could he possibly be doing instead? Is he at home eating a Trump steak? Tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel? What's he doing?
And if I can for a moment talk about the birther issue, when did we get so suspicious about where people were born? A USA Today poll last week said 38% of Americans think the president was definitely born in the US. In the same poll, in the very same poll, only 5% more said Donald Trump was definitely born in the US. Has it reached the point where Americans only think someone was born here if they saw it? I know I was born here, and I know my younger brother was born here. But when it comes to my older brother, I can only take him at his word.
The Republican establishment is incredulous that he's their most likely nominee. Incredulous, shocking. They say Donald lacks the foreign policy experience to be president. But in fairness, he has spent years meeting with leaders from around the world. Miss Sweden, Miss Argentina, Miss Azerbaijan.
Gary Busey said recently that Donald Trump would make a great president. Of course, he said the same thing about an old rusty birdcage he found. Donald Trump owns the Miss USA pageant, which is great for Republicans because it will streamline their search for a vice president. Donald Trump said recently he has a great relationship with the blacks, though unless the blacks are a family of white people, I bet he's mistaken.
And there's one area where Donald's experience could be invaluable, and that's closing Guantanamo. Because Trump knows a thing or two about running waterfront properties into the ground.
I like that Trump is filthy rich, but nobody told his accent. His whole life is models and gold leaf and marble columns, but he still sounds like a know-it-all down at the OTB. Mr. Trump may not be a good choice for president, but he would definitely make a great press secretary. How much fun would that be? Kim Jong-il is a loser. His latest rally was a flop. I feel bad for Ahmadinejad. He never man wears a windbreaker. He has no class. I, on the other hand, sell my own line of ties. You can find them at Macy's in the flammable section.
No. I don't want to spend too much time on the Donald. Following your lead, I want to show some restraint. Because I think we can all agree that from the start, he's gotten the appropriate amount of coverage, befitting the seriousness of his candidacy. I hope y'all are proud of yourselves. The guy wanted to give his hotel business a boost, and now we're praying that Cleveland makes it through July.